Welcome to the HX webinar series. My name is Scott Jordan. I'm the founder of HealthiosXchange. HealthiosXchange is the premier investment marketplace dedicated exclusively to the global healthcare industry, employing crowdfunding as the cornerstone of a new funding paradigm. HealthiosXchange offers direct access to the broadest opportunities on a fee-free, carry-free basis in the most trusted online environment. So welcome, everybody. This is on Premium Services. Our agenda for today. We're going to talk just a little bit about the mission statement. What is HealthiosXchange? Just a few slides for those new to the webinars. What are the HX Premium Services? By the way, we have recently renamed them Professional Services. So the deck was, and that was just like yesterday. So HX Matching, Ecosystem Scorecard, Positioning and Valuation, HX Conferences, Roadshows, Healthios Targeted Syndication, and then lastly, Negotiation and Closing. So let's just take a look at the mission statement. So essentially the mission statement here is to expand the access to capital by attracting new investors to healthcare. The Jobs Act is having a major impact on this. I think most of you are aware of the Jobs Act signed by President Obama in 2012, and recently general solicitation was passed. And the other major part of the Jobs Act is expanding the shareholder cap from 500 to 2,000. Before you have to submit SEC documentation. We're here to enhance the liquidity by deploying our scoring tools so each company gets a score in their market sector. We heighten IRR by offering all deals on a no-fee, no-carry basis. This is a direct result of the Kaufman study, which I'll just allude to real quick. Ability to direct and invest in more than 5,000 companies. Seed to exit. No orphan companies. Typically, pharma, medical device companies require a great deal of capital. And we don't feel that crowdfunding alone can take you to $50 million, but we do think it can get you to value inflection points where you can attract additional capital from the traditional players like angel groups, family offices, venture capitalists, strategics, corporate VCs, etc. Investor protections, no adverse deal selection, meaning we include everybody. We have strict methodologies and due diligence since the sponsor is a healthcare investment bank, Healthios. Total transparency with the research, low investment thresholds, which is a key aspect, especially since only 5% of the 8 million investors in this country have a private placement in their portfolio due to the fact of the inability to diversify across a number of companies. And then empower community, friending, following, messaging, sharing, which I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, and we incorporate a bunch of LinkedIn programming into HealthiosXchange so that we can help our constituents build relationships. The Kaufman study real quick, this is a repeat from a previous webinar, but so I'll go through it really quick. There was 5 major recommendations, and you'll see the recommendations in crimson on the left. And essentially what they're saying is direct investing is important. So Crowd Finance Portal, these are our titles for our portals. Express, co-invest, and later round deals with seasoned investors, so that's our sidecars, the VC offering. In market, which is move a portion of the capital invested in the VC into the public markets. That's our pipes at the market transactions, Form 10 direct listings. And then lastly, the most important point on the bottom, the Kaufmans were like, listen, we have, I think close to 100 VC investments, and a handful, I think it was like 10 or 12, actually gave them a 2 times return. The majority of them just return their capital after fees, so 2 and 20 has not worked very well. What is HealthiosXchange? The sponsor of HealthiosXchange is Healthios, is a Chicago-based investment bank focused on raising money from venture capitalists. Traditionally, this was for venture-backed companies. The HealthiosXchange it's an equity crowdfunding portal exclusively to the healthcare industry, employs crowdfunding, which typically is defined as raising a smaller amount of money from a large group of people, offers direct access to the broadest investment opportunities on a no-fee, no-carry basis. So no management fee, no retainer, and no carry. No orphan investments, meaning we work with the whole ecosystem. We are not looking to disrupt. We are looking to augment. So we're not our coding friends out there in San Francisco, God bless them. They do a great job, but we're investment bankers, so we want to work closely with the venture community, the angel community, the family office community, etc. This quantifiable due diligence methodology with our scoring, it's very quantitative. It's not perfect. It's a very audacious attempt to assist our accredited investors with making better decisions. And we're hoping to get the right 25 companies. That top quartile will be able, those companies will be able to fundraise on the site and or nominated by a foundation, strategic, or venture capitalist. Lastly, easy to use electronic interface, very important in today's market. All the compliance, which includes legal, signature, escrow, and custodial. So make it really easy for investors to place capital into these private companies. The Healthios investment marketplace, very robust. I mean, we don't have 100,000 yet, but that's coming soon, investors. But we've got a ton of capital sources, non-for-profits, strategic buyers in the portal. And you'll see here are the 4 crowdfunding portals from seed to exit, which means crowdfinance through in-market, starting from the earliest stages and then going to the later stages. The portal has 3 major tenets. It's open access. It's meaning everyone's welcome, like AngelList. AngelList's done a great job here. HX scoring, meaning we actually help with due diligence. That's one of the biggest objections that the angel groups use against crowdfunding is, who's going to do the due diligence? Well, we're going to help, and we're going to help put investors directly in touch with management. Fee-free, carry-free, big deal here. You can see there's a whole bunch of money that's spent on fees and carry around the globe. It's a massive number. So you can see that each company gets a page, 46 market sectors in pharmaceuticals, medical device, healthcare services, and companies are organized by ecosystem. And our followers, you can follow a company and get updates, catalyst updates, which they call watch lists. It's very interesting. This is a very interesting investor relations tool, by the way, to keep your investors, team members, and colleagues updated on company catalysts. No orphans. We feel like crowdfunding, if it's only crowdfunding, at least in the pharmaceutical, not consumer internet, where you could take $200,000 and create Facebook. This is a very capital-intensive nature industry. We just don't feel that crowdfunding alone can fill the gap. Maybe in the future, but not today. The database will be very robust with investors all across the board, not just accredited investors due to a lot of the strong relationships that we have. And then we have some very interesting software that's in it to link and to do portfolio management. And then we have a research platform. Our research platform is not only scoring, but we have capital flows for 46 market sectors, which means what are the strongest sectors by strategic involvement, M&A activity, venture capital investing, percent liquidity, number of rounds, dollars per rounds, all those type of all that data that our investors would love to see when trying to make a choice, what sector to put their money in, whether it's cardiovascular devices or oncology. And we'll have third-party research as well. So let's go into premium services. We're now calling it professional services, so I'll adjust the deck. But the premium services, essentially what they are is fee-for-service services that the emerging growth companies can utilize in the platform to attract more investors and more partners. There's also a big partnering component of the portal itself. I just took a screenshot of it. You'll see it's renamed Professional Services now, but you'll see there's 6 levels. Level 1 is absolutely free. You get a page, you get research, there's a virtual data room, you get some other compliance functionality, compliant with the Jobs Act, Titles 2 and 5 specifically. So that's level 1. So level 1, all companies can come in and be represented on the portal with a company page. What are fee-for-service? And by the way, these have yet to be determined, the pricing, since we just launched on August 2nd. But in level 2, you've got a matching. We're going to go through a few of these, but you've got all these different services here. Level 6 is actually a full-fledged investment banking, and we typically charge $15,000 a month for 6 months at Healthios, typical of a Leerink, JPM, Jeffries, etc. So these, I would highly encourage you to go to the Learn More section, scroll down to Professional Services, and you can put your cursor over each one of these, and you can get a description of what they are. The premium services, these are, we're gonna look at the bolded ones, which are HX matching, ecosystem scorecard, positioning evaluation, HX at conferences, road shows, Healthios targeted syndication, and negotiating and closing. These are all in levels 2 through, well, they're levels 2 through 6, and essentially the main tenet here is access to investors, capital sources, and strategic buyers. That's the goal of these premium services. Let's take a look at HX matching. So on HX matching, basically what we're trying to do here is to nurture the relationships between EGCs, emerging growth companies, and members of their ecosystem based on stated investor preferences. And the way, if you think about Match.com here, the way that this works is essentially this metadata, which Google and Facebook do a great job of. So you have these data standards that have come out, which basically enable investors to tap social media to evaluate investment opportunities. So basically, if you put oncology in your investor preferences, and we had a new oncology deal that came out, we would put you in touch with them. So it's no different than the Match.com, which some people think is funny, but it's just basically the technology that's behind it. So you're matching the emerging growth companies with the capital sources. The capital sources, like I said, could be venture capitals, credit investors, family offices, et cetera. And what you're doing eventually, and we're not there yet, but you want to match the investor with the emerging growth companies by market sector, by stage of development, and by investment stage. Because venture capitals typically have an appetite in each one of these. And what we want to do is to save our constituents time and money trying to find, contact, have discussions, and close capital sources. There's nothing worse. Bruce Booth talked about this in Forbes, which is basically nothing worse to a VC than you give them a call and you're like, hey, I got this cardiovascular device, and they're not in cardiovascular, they're not in medical devices, and say it's a seed round, and they don't do seed. So you lose a lot of credibility. So we want to prevent that going forward. So that's the HX matching, which is, if you go back here, is one of the you can see it's in level 2. So there's going to be a cost to that, but it won't be. By the way, level 2 will be priced similar to InMail with LinkedIn. It won't be cost prohibitive. I think I pay like $60 a month for LinkedIn InMail. Ecosystem scorecard. So let's talk about the scorecard real quick. So here, this is leveraging our HX scoring. So we have 104 discrete quantifiable measures. So think this is real quantitative. And essentially what we're doing is we're ranking companies in different market sectors. So we start with pharmaceuticals and medical devices, and then we work our way down from there. So this will be a stack ranking of 1 through 100. So this is what our VCs and strategics will look at when they have watch lists. So they'll say, okay, guys, keep us abreast of the top scoring companies. Also keep us abreast of the movement. It's not just static data. It's actually data in motion. And what happens? What is the catalyst for data in motion? The catalyst is it's actually catalyst, right? I mean that's really what it is. So catalyst, you go into phase 1, you finish a PK/PD study, et cetera, changes your score. And if you had a big quantum leap, say you were ranked 59th and you made it to 11th because you went into phase 3 or something, then essentially your followers on the page would get an update. We also would send out in our newsletters highly scored companies, trending companies. So there's a lot of ways. When we talk about exposure here, guys, we have 1,100 members since August 2nd. And those are accredited investors, emerging growth companies, investment professionals, and strategic buyers. So you've got a good selection there, like Cynthia Dorr at Essex Woodlands would be one of our members, for example. And we do feature the members in all our newsletters on a monthly basis. So that's very important. But the exposure side of this equation is really important because if you're trending, if you're highly scored, if you've got a lot of page views, what does that equate to? That equates to getting more exposure to the top VCs and to the top strategics. Many of them are in the portal already. Positioning and valuation. So let's take a look at this real quick. So from a positioning and valuation perspective, we assist companies with the development of core investor documentation, including executive summary, offering memorandum, detailed financial model, valuation, and a management presentation. So essentially what we're doing here is we're assisting companies with the core documents. The public documents, you'll see the green arrow there, the public documents are on the portal. We do not put any financial models, any solicitation of terms like dollars per share, number of shares, etc., warrants, any of that stuff. That's all behind a firewall with the signature of an NDA. So we have to ensure, by the way, that only accredited investors can see deal terms. Otherwise, we violate what they call the General Solicitation 506C that just came out. So we put all these documents in, not all of them, but the ones that are public, and then the financial models and the deal terms, etc., would go behind a firewall that would require an NDA and us verifying that they're accredited. So let's move to HX conferences. This is pretty self-explanatory, but most crowdfunders can't do this. So since we're sponsored by a traditional investment bank, we've had 14 historical conferences. You can see we've had a ton of attendees and deals that were consummated due to these. So for example, ASCO, I think it's AACR or ASCO, one of those, we have a conference at the event that starts early, right before the event. So if the event started on Saturday morning, for example, or Friday evening, we would have it Friday morning. Leading strategics, one of the last ones I went to, there was, 20 strategics, 30 emerging growth companies, and over 200 partnering meetings. So a very, very good use of your time, and something from a perspective of licensing is very, very important to the life cycle of an emerging growth company. In the healthcare space, it's just a derivative of raising money. So we do a really nice job with conferences, and you'd have access there. Roadshows. So we talk about roadshows. Basically we're creating roadshows with high-scored companies that are trending, companies that have high page views, and we're putting them with EGCs in their peer group, and essentially we're doing roadshows around the world. You see we have a number of offices here. It's the reason why we can do these roadshows is because of the parent, boutique investment bank, a lot of transactions in a lot of different companies, and we have offices across the board, and to leverage Healthios, all these relationships that we have. So it's really the road shows is something that, most people, even if they could do it, they can't do it good, or they can't do it right, just because they don't have the experience and relationships in place. Let's take a look at Healthios targeted syndication, which is another premium service. So when we talk about the Healthios targeted syndication, essentially what we're doing is we're customizing target lists of prospective investors and strategic partners based on HX activity and the preference and priorities of the EGCs. So essentially what this means is that you would hire us to find the exact investors that you're looking for. So no wasting time, no waiting for them to come to you. We go out and we find them, and you'll see the target list of investors and partners that are in there for accredited investors all the way through venture capitalists. A few of these groups are becoming a lot more interesting in our space, including family offices and foundations, what they call venture philanthropy, with, for example, Calatico with Vertex and Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. So alternatives to non-dilutive capital due to the fact that sequester has exerted great amount of downward pressure on the availability of grants. So foundations are playing a big role there. Levels of engagement, you want to become a page administrator on your page. That way you receive reports of members visiting your page, and you can follow up with them in the future. And step number 2 is employing this Match.com, where we proactively send people to you. If you're not a page administrator, if you do not set a page administrator, there's no way that we can go ahead and send this information to you. So that's really important in the process here. Okay, negotiating and closing. So now if we back all the way up to the levels 2 through 6, this is getting to the end of this. This is what they pay banks to do a lot of money. So this is towards the end of the spectrum. So when we take a look at negotiating and closing, obviously it's the typical, right? It's the corporate finance, it's the strategic advisory. So essentially, you bring Healthios in to say, okay, we want to close Canaan, we want to close, I don't know, Michael J. Fox. Could you assist us with this very high net worth individual out of the valley? There's a family office, like say Pritzker's or something. We're very late stage with them, or we've assisted you with getting to the end of the line. Can you assist us with any of these type of? And like I said, a fully integrated investment bank is critical. So some of our brothers over on the coding side have a problem with this because they don't have any case history. They don't have any previous relationship building and deal closure. So that's the end of the webinar. I just wanted to, if you go back, like I said, I think the key here, when you take a look at these premium services, which we'll have pricing out for in the near future, Levels 1 is absolutely free. This is not a bait and switch, by the way. We're not trying to get you in the portal and say, oh my God, you got to, these are just additional services that we talked about, the HX matching, which is Level 2. You can come down here. I think it's HX Conferences is Level 3. Healthios Target Syndication is Level 5. And then Negotiating and Closing, Level 6. We appreciate your participation. If you have any questions, give me a call. My number is 847-849-1736. And I can be reached at sjordan@healthios.com. That's healthios.com. Thanks for your time and for your participation in the portal.